Hi, Elysia. Welcome to Frich.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm coming from a busy day. I had work all day, but I'm excited to be here.
I want to maybe start with like a quick intro. So, you have two of the most elusive job descriptions in the world.
Yeah.
You are both a creative director and an influencer in New York City. Can you tell us what this actually means? Because I think so many of us have so many misconceptions. So, yeah, please just tell us what are we getting wrong?
I think in this digital age, a lot of people have the ability to just put creative director in their Instagram bio and poof, they are in their minds. But it is actually a very real profession that takes years of practice and work to get to. Creative directors are the ones who are in charge of all the creative decisions. So it's a lot of pressure. But you have to be able to A, be confident in your opinions, which means time and practice. And B, you have to have management abilities and it's not something where you can just be I'm a creative director. Most people who call themselves creative directors are actually more just art directors or stylists or photographers. Managing an Instagram account doesn't make you a creative director.
So if things go well, a creative director is going to be good job, team, you did so well.
Yeah.
If things go bad, creative directors are at fault.
I mean, a lot of us have yes, a good creative director will be the one that takes the hit and shields their team from it because it's the team's work at the end of the day. But a bad creative director, when things go well, takes all the credit. So it's allowing your team to shine, but also shielding them from really bad client feedback and things like that. You're essentially a punching bag. It's not an easy job.
What about influencers? What it's just one of those like you said, right? Anyone can put that in their bio and poof, you think you're an influencer. What do you think makes an influencer in today's world where everyone has the newest iPhone and makes such great quality photos? What distinguishes an actual influencer?
So I think there's a difference between content creator and influencer, and I kind of span the two. So a content creator is perhaps someone who just makes videos. They don't necessarily monetize their platform. They don't they're just there to entertain or educate. And anyone can be a content creator. You can be a UGC creator, whatever. Influencer is kind of a more specific thing where people are following you for your taste and your creative or fashion preferences. There's they either want to follow you because they like your family and you make funny content and they like watching your kids snowboard. That's one of my favorite accounts right now. It's this child goes snowboarding. It's it's the best. Or you're a food account. And those, I would say, bridge between content creator and influencer. When people say influencer, usually what they mean is a lifestyle influencer or a fashion influencer. And I think those are the ones that take the most, they draw the most ire from audiences on TikTok and Instagram, because I think they've kind of become the face of affluence to many people. So, but the thing is most influencers are not affluent. Most influencers have two jobs and do this on the side. Most influencers I think there's a point where all of them quit their second job and they become less relatable to their audiences, but I don't plan on doing that. I like doing both. I feel my creative direction informs my influencing and my influencing informs my creative direction.
Yeah. Speaking of your niche, you obviously create content around fashion, identity, but you have a very specific way of thinking around how money and identity/fashion interact. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you think of those two things?
Interesting question. So for me, I work in an industry where image and appearances are extremely important. And years ago, when I was first not as badly in debt as I eventually became, but when I was first living with debt, I was talking about it in therapy, and my therapist was essentially if you want to get out of this, you can't shame yourself, but so you essentially have to think about it this way. You're in an industry where most people are born rich. They have parents who support them. buy them nice things, and that's why they're able to maintain this appearance. Like, you're trying to keep up with those people and be seen as credible. You just unfortunately had to do it with credit cards. So like, I try not to beat myself up, because I probably wouldn't be here where I am now if I hadn't done that. Not professional advice, don't go into debt. Like, just saying. No.
For people that might not know sort of like your origin story
yes,
of how you became like
the lore.
internet famous, the lore
lore
of you. Maybe you can like tell us a little bit more about like your relationship with like debt and money and identity and fashion.
Yes, I'll give you the brief version. I built my following because my first video was an empties video. But I opened the video saying I'm not buying anything new this year, and I didn't really get into the why of that, but it went viral. I started building an audience. I was showing off all the beauty products I had from working in the beauty industry. And then eventually I was like, guys, this isn't even like the half of it. Like, you haven't seen my closet yet. That's when things really like exploded, was when I started showing all the crazy shoes that I bought when I had like a raging shopping addiction. And that kind of built, I think people hadn't heard someone talk about money. I wasn't really talking about money overtly yet, but they hadn't heard people talk about like debt and shopping, etc., or not shopping. In my case, they hadn't really heard that before. So it was, and I think also like the intersection of fashion and debt and that relationship is kind of sticky, that so people like stuck around to kind of, they also liked my shoes, like they just liked my shoes.
Yeah, I mean, like one thing that you also, like when we first met and talked a little bit about this, you said that there's like different stages of a shopper, right? And you obviously have talked about the fact that you like had a shopping addiction, and you had your therapist, and you were working through this, and you're trying to get out of debt, but like still have this job where like your job is to show off your cool clothes and like inspire other people and just keep, like, fashion is so consumption based. And one of the things that you brought up to me that I thought was so cool that I really want to talk about today is how when you lack a strong individuality and strong sort of sense of your own personal style, it is so likely for you to develop a shopping addiction, and how you shop and how you spend money defines you, which I think is such a real problem that people have today, is that we tie our identities by how much we spend and where we're able to spend, causing us to go into debt. So I would just love to hear a little bit more from your perspective about that.
My aim as a content creator is more to like inspire people to shop their closet, shop secondhand, buy unique and interesting pieces that they feel proud of, instead of like buying what everyone else is buying and then eventually getting sick of it. So like thinking for themselves, developing their own personal style, like that's true to them. So I try to like inspire more than influence. If I do influence people to buy things, like I'm not gonna like skirt around that. It just happens. I forgot what the rest of the question was. I was gonna go somewhere else.
Around like the shopping identities and how we use money to like basically buy personality.
Yes. So like in the pandemic was incredibly depressed. I was the heaviest I'd ever been. And I think like first of all, like shopping for a bigger body is impossible. It's really hard. And like, it's hard to express yourself when I wasn't even like truly plus. I was like a size 14. But like when you don't have the options that other people have, like you don't have this ability to express yourself creatively. But my point is that in the pandemic, I was like depressed. I was bored, locked in the house, and my shopping addiction like really took off, because it's impossible to have any sense of identity when you're wearing pajamas all day. So I would get swept up in this like lore of what these brands were selling. Like if I bought the house coat, or if something went viral, like I bought it. End of story. So like there was this $300 house coat. Yeah, bought it. It was so stupid. I don't think people have shopping problems. I think they have identity problems where they're over marketed to. They're really easy to market to because they don't know themselves and they don't know what they like. And I think I feel some type of way about it because I do this, like I work in advertising marketing professionally. I'm trying to explain basically that like you have to move past this phase of trying to buy an identity through your purchases. You can't shop your way into the person you want to become. You have to like actually become that person. And now when I'm like, I try not to fantasize about purchases. Like I try not to do the like, oh, like imagining myself sitting at dinner wearing these boots, and these boots will like make me feel some type of way.
I think this is more true than ever, but why do you think it's more true than ever that people are desperately trying to buy their identities right now?
I think social media I think people's attention spans are fried. I think social media really, there's a lot of voices in people's heads. They can't hear themselves think, you know, it's like, and I think also like, this is a hot take.
Give it to me.
This is a hot take. So the literacy rates are dropping.
Right.
I think people are they're reading less. They have less like cultural references, cultural touch points. They're watching less movies. They're watching more like brainless streaming shows that they can put on the background while they like scroll on TikTok. So I think people's sources of inspiration are dwindling. I think there used to be genuine subcultures and now there aren't. And people just want to feel like they're a part of something.
Do you think so? You think it's because people are kind of lonely and lacking community, so they're trying to like purchase into like belonging?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think people want to feel a sense of community, and I think people try to do that. Like brands are no longer product oriented. They're like, it's more storytelling.
Right. This is like, if you purchase this is the person.
Yeah,
you're going to
and
be.
I think people like, I mean, I love Rhode. I really like, I bought every freaking lip balm that came out. But like, I think when people buy from Rhode, they're like, I'm a Rhode girl. You know what I mean? So it's almost like Dairy Boy, Chamberlain Coffee, like all of these brands have like a cult-like status that people feel a part of something when they're like shopping from them. That's why they're so successful.
How did you move from the like impulse / identity shopper to like the place where you are today?
So cold turkey, like quitting for a while. Like I think I never made it a full year without buying something, which is unfortunate. Like, but I tried. Like there was the intention was there. There was a goal. There was an aim. But I made it like 4 months. And what that does is it resets the dopamine in your brain so that you don't get that like really, really crazy rush of dopamine. And most people don't realize it, but like we all have dopamine addictions or like it's called like dopaminergic burnout. You literally like burn out the dopamine centers in your brain. Phones do it, shopping does it, drugs do it, but it's like we all are inundated with dopamine and we crave it. And I think shopping is a really easy way to get it. So like you have to kind of like cleanse that out of your system. And then the next step is, so that's like detox. If you want to like, it's similar to rehab. That's like the detox phase. Then there's like the behavioral phase. So you have to like identify what are your triggers and like what drives you to shop. So for me, it's like if I'm bored, I will like go to the Real or Essence or whatever. So you have to block the behavior. So until I was like in a better place with my spending, those sites were completely blocked. Like I couldn't access them. And then so you identify the behavior, you kind of like break down those behaviors and figure out the why. Like if you're stressed, you know, if you're, I don't know, like sometimes people feel bad about themselves. Like I shop more around my period because I'm luteal. I'm just like miserable. I think I look ugly, like whatever. But you have to break that down and you have to kind of unlearn those behaviors. And then the final stage is like building something of your own so you don't go back to it. You know, if you're falling, like if you're falling back into old habits, which is normal, people do that. I'm sure I will eventually, like, I don't know, in the future. But like you have to have kind of an emergency ripcord to where you can stop yourself from complete and total free fall and you kind of just like have a nice soft landing. And
what is it for you?
No buys. If I feel myself going off the ledge, I'm like, I'm done. I can't.
You enter like a no buy month.
Yeah. It's like I need to like, it's pure unadulterated. You are not allowed to do this. It's, you know, it kind of just gets me back on track. And that's something I'll have to do for like my entire life. The other thing that I've noticed though is that like when you have one impulsive behavior, it leads to like other impulsive behaviors. So a lot of people when they're young are like drinking and partying and like I would always make really irrational purchases. You know, but I think like if you think about compounding habits, like if you eliminate, when I stopped drinking, it got a lot easier to not shop too. Like the two informed each other, and that's because of compounding habits. Like one good habit leads to another, leads to another, leads to another, and then by the next, you know, then you're done. You're like, it's I'm a different person now.
Right. I love that. Okay, you obviously kind of caught everyone's attention on the internet when you were openly talking about the fact that you had like accrued more than like $50,000 in credit card debt through like your shopping stuff.
R.I.P. It's done.
It's done. It's amazing. It's such a huge achievement.
It's so nice. It is like, it is so nice having savings, and I think about it every day, like how nice it is. That's another reason why I probably will never shop the way I used to shop. It is so nice to like have savings and not have debt. Like there is nothing I could buy that would feel better than derailing that. You know what I mean? Like there's no purchase I could make. Like even if I went out and I could literally go out and buy 3 Chanel bags. I could buy like 5 Chanel bags right now. That would feel like shit. Like that would feel like absolute shit. So like once you get addicted to saving, you stop being addicted to spending. Something
you shared with me was that last year, and like obviously like a couple of years before that, you coined this term in my head because I had never heard someone say this. You said failing upward financially. Failing upward financially. Maybe I coined like those 3 words together.
You
coined them to me. I had never heard someone say that, and I loved it, and I want to hear your story about it.
Well, I managed to take my mom was like, most people are really private about the fact that they have debt. It's really shameful, and you know, they hide it and no one knows, and then they just pay it off and never talk about it again. She was like, you told like millions of people about it. You were on live television talking about it. I was really open about it, and I talked about it in a way that was different than a lot of other people. I don't want to say new because it's not. Different than a lot of other people. And I managed to take something that was like really negative, and because I owned this thing about myself and I just like was really vulnerable and raw about it, I managed to turn it into like a platform on TikTok.
That's incredible.
But I've turned it into like major news appearances. I've turned it like, if I hadn't spoken about that, none of this would have happened.
Right.
Because I feel like I never would have even thought that people cared what I had to say. You know, I didn't think people cared what I had to say, which is why I said it on the internet.
Right.
Originally.
What was it like when you realized how intensely your story is resonating? Because it's not like, I don't think your story resonated so much because people are like, wow, shocking. Like I think it's more that like people are like, oh shit, that's me. Yeah,
I think my story is interesting in a number of ways because I'm a little bit older than most people on TikTok. And it's kind of a situation where it's like higher earner having debt. The amount of hate comments I got when I first started, people are like, eat the rich, and I'm like, I'm not rich, I'm like barely middle class, like, or I'm upper middle class maybe, like whatever. But they're like, people were angry because, you know, it's a situation where I'm like, I have the means to pay something off. I could have just never been in debt and still afforded, like, but I don't think people understand, it's like a mental fucking illness. Like it's a compulsive like addiction effectively. And I don't think I would have been able to pay off the debt if I hadn't done it. I wouldn't have been able to pay it off as quickly as I did if I hadn't done it. And I think it also gave me like a sense of accountability. I didn't want to like, I had all these people rooting for me. I didn't want to like let them down. And so like once they realized I was like actually committed to the bit, the hate comments kind of went away. People were a lot more supportive and were more honest about their stories. It makes me sad when people are like, I resonate with your story so much, like, or asking me for advice about how to get, I'm like, it makes me sad because I know, I'm like, you are where I was a year ago. Like it's a dark place to be. It's a hard thing to feel, and it's a dark place to be.
Right. And I feel like, you know, obviously you created this following online and you had this sort of audience and support-ish from like, you know, these people online. But in your personal life, I'm assuming it's still kind of a lonely experience. It's not like you're walking around telling everyone.
It was lonely at first. So the thing is this is, someone commented this on my TikTok years ago, and it's just always stuck with me. Our secrets are our sickness. So I knew that I had like I didn't really realize it was like a disease. Like it's a mental illness. I didn't really realize it was like an addiction that I needed to heal from for months into the process. Like it was probably like 3 or 4 months. I was like, oh, I'll just stop shopping. And then I was like, why is this so hard? But I realized that, like, similar to how 12-step programs, like, you have to like say in meetings, like, I'm an alcoholic. You have to like go to your friends and family and like ask for forgiveness. Like I didn't really go around being like, do you forgive me? Because like my debt literally harmed no one but me. Yeah. But
well, you have to forgive yourself.
That's exactly. So first I told my husband, obviously. First I told a karaoke bar where my friend made me yell the amount into a microphone. Then I told TikTok, and then I told my husband.
Well, your husband didn't know.
He had some idea. He knew I had a shopping addiction, but I was like hiding boxes. Like it was like crazy behavior. No, I'm not supposed to say crazy. That's a judgmental word. It was like it's unhinged behavior. So it was like I would leave work a little bit early to get home because I knew there was a bunch of boxes that I didn't want him to find. So I would like it. Like there are things that you do to like. It was an addiction, guys. Like it was pretty crazy.
I feel like we've been like sort of circling around this a little bit, but one other thing that I think is really important for people to hear, and I hope more people talk about this, is your reflection on when you had less money, you spent more to look like you had money. Now that you have money, you spend less because you don't need to look like you have money.
Exactly. Literally, it's like this paradox where I'm wearing the Gap right now. Like I bought these jeans. They were $30. I like.
They look amazing.
They were originally like $90, and I was like, sick. I used like every coupon code. This was like, I think $40, and I'm like, I mean, granted, my necklaces are expensive and my boots aren't cheap either. But like, I don't have to put on airs. I'm not trying to impress anyone. I just wanted to like be comfortable and like, show up as myself, not as like some caricature, which is it was almost like character dressing how I used to dress. Like I would.
But do you like how do you think it like escalated so far? Like this like obsession of like spending money you don't have to look like you have money, which you don't, which like is so interesting because when you sort of reach this point where you are today, you're so relaxed. Like you're so relaxed and confident in who you are, how you're perceived, how you make these decisions, what you choose to purchase, what you decide is not worth it. But I'm just curious, like, are there like some signals where you're like, oh, these were moments where I really now looking back can see I was like slipping, that people maybe it could be helpful hearing that.
So I'll have periods of like lucidity, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a mental illness, like I've said. So even if you don't have a shopping addiction, like everyone's had this experience where you like feel bad about yourself, so you like buy something to feel better about yourself, right? But what would happen with me is I never really was able to face the source of my unhappiness. But I used to have like a binge eating disorder. Like I used to have whatever. So like my weight really fluctuated. But when I was younger, I would like buy something that I really liked, that I felt really confident in, and then like 3 months later it wouldn't fit. And then I would like, it was just this constant ebb and flow. So I never really felt like I was just happy if something fit. I literally never felt comfortable in my clothes because they were always too tight or
too loose.
On the rare occasions, they were too loose. So I never felt comfortable in my clothes. And, I never really like faced the issue of like, it was almost like self-harm in a way, like buying things. And I was like not allowing myself to have financial success. But it wasn't until I like confronted all of these, everyone's different, but like multifaceted issues that I had in therapy that I was able to even attempt to get over this. I think I would just like, I would hate my jeans. I would feel bad in my jeans. So I would just buy more jeans. Those would show up. I would hate how those looked. And then buy now pay later is also like enabled everything.
Let's talk about that. I am an avid buy now pay later hater.
I am a hater. At one point I was offered for a $2,000 pair of boots, which I could not afford. I was offered the option to pay in 18 with 0% interest, and it just enabled you to buy things.
18, that's insane.
Yeah, so Klarna, like buy now pay laters, you take like mental illness and buy now pay laters and you combine them, and basically what you have is the perfect storm, because it was kind of like my entire wardrobe was on loan. I had access to all of this cash that I didn't otherwise have, and as long as I made the monthly payments, I was like okay. But I was like here. I was just drowning in debt. I was able to pay it, but it was like I had maybe a razor's edge of like whatever. But I was able to buy things that I would never have been able to afford otherwise, and I probably wouldn't have purchased.
Right.
So once I stopped using them, my shopping completely changed. But yeah, I think that was a huge enabler. Like, yeah, it was like feeling bad about myself plus buy now pay laters led to, I think one month, it was like 2023, there was a joke with like my friends. It was like Elysia clause, because basically everything I wanted that month I bought. I spent like $10,000 in a month. $10,000
just on like
clothes, shoes, clothes, boots. Crazy.
I think this is the perfect moment to talk actionable tips. I want to talk about like how do we balance like money, fashion, identity. First, I know you feel this very strongly. Let's talk about the beauty industry. I think the beauty industry is, especially for women, particularly insidious, because we are being marketed these products that we need to use to fix ourselves. Like, oh, your skin is flawed, your this is flawed, you have too many wrinkles, you have this, you have that, and it's like inventing problems you didn't even realize you had. How do we tell apart like what's just like sort of like almost insidious marketing fluff and what's actually something that you need?
If anyone ever tells you that you need something, you don't. Like, just if a marketer is telling you need something, like you need this viral product, run. That's a lie. Literally, like, I've been in calls where they've been like, we can just say it's viral. And I'm like, but it's not viral.
Right.
But we can just say it is. And then people will want to buy it. Like, they'll drive up scarcity. Anything that makes you feel that like anxiety, like you have to get something, like you're out of the loop, run. Like, don't. I think most brands that are, in my opinion, doing good right now are brands that are like honest about what problem it solves. They're like, you might not necessarily have this problem, but if you do, here's something that will work for it. They're offering solutions. They're not saying that it's a problem in the first place.
I love that. Okay. You talked a little bit about like this as like your system of sort of like giving yourself a reset. What is your hot take on like either no by months or no by years? Like anyone trying to do this, what do you think about it?
Look, if you're able to do it successfully and like make it a full, I saw a creator who made it a full year and then like immediately backslid. I think it's more effective to like relearn how to shop with intentionality over time. And if that means that you make like every single purchase or every single time I broke my no buy, there was a very valuable lesson that I learned. And like, I also realized that every time I broke my no buy, that item is no longer in my closet because it was like not thoughtful. It was impulsive. Like it was purchased during a moment. So I learned that like for something to have longevity in my closet, it has to be purchased with intention and it has to be planned.
In your experience, for most people, when they try to do these like no buy months, the next month
they're going crazy. Exactly. So it's like as you're abstaining from shopping. And the other thing is like if something is forbidden, you immediately want to do it more, you know? But the other, I think you should like aim to not shop. I don't know how to describe this because low buys, if you give yourself permission to shop, it's also, I think a really safe way to do it is like aim to not buy anything, but you're allowed to buy like one or two things a month and you set yourself like a budget that you have to stay within and it's like fun money. You kind of provide these guardrails. That's a little bit more, then you're relearning how to shop. You're like rewriting your relationship with shopping. I think you should do I do think at the beginning of a no buy, like you do need to have like a cold turkey moment just to get that dopamine reset, but that can be like 3 weeks, that can be like a month. I think like it's more important to just relearn how to shop, and you can only do that through shopping, which makes
it's a little bit of
you know what I mean though? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of similar. Like, for example, like I've heard this circulate so much that like one of the most difficult disorders to recover from is eating disorders, because eating is something you have to do every single day. Just like you have to buy things every single day just to survive. Like you need to buy food, you need to buy, I don't know, like you just need to buy things. So like, but every single day you need to hold on to these guardrails because you need this to sustain yourself. But at the same time, like you have a personality or you have something within you that makes it really, really difficult to not go all in.
Yeah. And having had both, it's sheer, the only thing that gets you through it is like sheer unadulterated willpower. And the understanding that you will fail, like you're gonna fail, but you have to like, you have to stop beating yourself up. Like you have to stop being so hard on yourself, because the second you introduce shame into the equation, healing stops. So like you say to yourself like, yeah, I bought this thing. Yeah, I fucked up. Like I made a mistake. I'll do better tomorrow. And you're not starting at day zero. You're just like continuing what you've already been doing. Like buying one thing doesn't negate like the 6 months of good work that you've done. You know what I mean? Like that one slip up is like, it's not gonna kill you at the end of the day. It's like it's a sweater, you know? Like it's not that insidious, but it's the behavior. I think you have to kind of like rewrite, and I'm not a therapist, I'm saying this just as someone with lived experience, but what worked for me was like just rewriting the response that I had when I slipped up, like when I made mistakes, how I spoke to myself and how I spoke about it. Like I never was like, oh, I fucked up, like I'm an asshole, I'm a loser. I never did that. I was like, you know what, there's something like, what feeling was I trying to fix by buying this thing, you know? It's like, what can we learn from this moment? And each and every single like mistake led me to a greater conclusion about the habits.
Okay, last one. How much do you make as an influencer?
I wish I could say more, but right now I think I make like $100 a month from views. I make maybe $50 a month from ShopMy, and I think we made like 22,000 in brand deals, which is a lot. But like, there are people who make like hundreds of thousands of dollars.
And that's in a month?
No.
In a year?
In a year. I don't make 22,000 a month. I wouldn't be working.
Like I wouldn't be here.
No, I think I made probably around like maximum like 25,000 for an entire year of work. Like I made probably 3,000 videos last year.
That's a wrap.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. That was incredible.
I talk so fucking much. I'm sorry.
That's what you're here to do.